The following talk was given at Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado. Please visit our website at milehighchurch.org.
Keeping the faith, that's what we're doing here every Wednesday night at our Wednesday night live service. So whether you're filled with faith or you're looking for it in the couch cushions underneath you somewhere, we're here to uplift and cultivate that faith together tonight. So grateful you're here with us, and so grateful to be joined tonight by two incredible women who have really not just talked spiritual principle, but have lived it, applied it in your lives, and in your service to other people, chose ministry. And we're so grateful to have Linda Rangel and Kay Johnson as ministers here at Mile High Church. And their passion is our healing ministry here at Mile High. And I just thought it'd be great to take some time to talk about the work that you're doing, how you're keeping your group, your ministry, your people together through this COVID time, and why you chose it in the first place, this ministry. So I just thought I'd begin, Linda and Kay, just asking you what called you to healing ministry?
That is a lot of questions rolled into one. So I'm just going to start with the last one, since I will remember it the best. What called me into the healing ministry? It was a number of things, but I would say a prime mover for me was a diagnosis 6.5 years ago of stage 4 inoperable, incurable, advanced metastatic lung disease. And so the prognosis from that is not great, so I got busy. And I got busy reading a lot of wonderful, uplifting material. One of my favorite books at that time, and remains one of my favorites to this day, I was reading it last night, is Radical Remission by Kelly Turner. She's since written another book called Radical Hope, also wonderful. And they talk about the 10 factors for healing. Healing. True healing from the inside out, starting with a deepening of a spiritual connection, whatever that looks like to the person, and ending with eating more greens. So very comprehensive reading, and thank goodness for Mile High Church, we have, thanks to Reverend Kay, a healing ministry here, so Reverend Kay folded me into it. And I'm going to turn now to Reverend Kay and see if she wants to answer that question about how we got started in all of this.
Well, somewhat similar. I think many people find their path after they have something that just stops their life cold. And a major diagnosis can certainly do that. And that also happened to me in 2007. And I was in ministerial school at the time, never intended to do this, didn't have a dream of it. It didn't. This specialty did not particularly exist. It's always handled and has been handled by the Prayer and Care Center and all that Dr. Patty does. But we were given an assignment. I ended up doing it on the healing issue, and I just thought, you know what? I think maybe this is where I need to go. This is something I know because I experienced it. I experienced using the principles of science of mind to help myself through that really tragic and totally disorienting time, in some ways similar to where we are right now, actually, all of us. So, yes, I love it. And it's developed over the years, having Linda come on board as a minister just a few years ago has just enriched it so wonderfully. But I want to talk about one of the things that I'm most excited about the fact that we do, and that's because I was thinking today on the way over here, I was thinking, if only Ernest Holmes were up here on this stage with us today. Wouldn't that be funny to even think about? But I thought he would love this particular program that we do because it came from science. It grew out of science, out of experimentation and dealing with all kinds of tests and over again to see if this works. And what I'm talking about is the Healing Intention Circles that we do once a month. And they are a time when people get together as a group and hold a strong intention for one of the people in the group. And what happens when people have this experience, and we've seen it over and over, people who have never done it before, it's not hard, they They hear the directions, they follow, and things happen. Things happen to people in the group. People feel the energy, that's what the scientists would call it, or we would call it people feel the spirit. So many people, when they've experienced it for the first time, they just go, oh my gosh, I felt the energy, I felt it moving. So that is actually happening, it just so happens, on Monday night, which is Labor Day, I know, but we're still doing that and starting at 6:30. And if you are lucky enough to get our newsletter, of course you already have the information, but if you don't, you might have to email me and we'll get you the way to sign in on that. Because it is not the least bit unfortunate that we're doing it on Zoom. Zoom is the perfect vehicle for this particular practice. So I'm excited about that.
I would also say that Zoom has served us well with our support group, which happens Wednesday night, every Wednesday night, just prior to this service. What perfect timing. And another minister called me from a different center earlier today and said, how is your support group still going? We are in the 23rd week of COVID. How is your support group still going? How do people not have Zoom fatigue? And I summed it up just simply by saying we come together at 5:45 on Wednesdays to commiserate briefly and then to celebrate heartily. And so I think that's one of the things that might be missing here in week 23 is being able to come together with your deepest heartfelt desire on display, whether it be for healing of tinnitus or tinnitus or joint pain or a dire diagnosis, and having other people empathize with you and then treat for you and really feel that energy, as Kay was speaking about, working within us and for us, each one of us.
It's what I love most about your ministry and what I hear from people is that understanding that when you do see a path in front of you, a healing path or walking through a diagnosis, wherever the path may lead, that you don't have to walk it alone, and to see the inspiration that people get not only from the two of you, because the two of you are great because you're always holding that highest truth, but you're down to earth too, and yet all the other people in the group to know that no matter what, there's grace, there's gratitude, and there's the ability to celebrate and honor life, even when we're suffering, even when we feel like we don't want to keep going. I see your ministry helping keep people in tune, and I'm sure you've witnessed some people go through some miraculous healings as well, as you both have.
Yes, we have. And they're nice enough to share them with us. And so we share them with others. And it does keep us going. You think these principles really work. Let's keep doing more of what we're doing. The deep dive that then outpictures as changing your thinking, your beliefs, your feelings, everything you're dealing with, changing that, and then it changes your physical being. The beliefs impact biology. Turns out to be true over and over again. It's beautiful. Yeah, the way we're made.
I think not to underestimate the fact that Linda is such an incredible role model for people, because she actually shouldn't really be here, according to the statistics. And so no matter what somebody brings in with into the group, when they find out her story, they think, it can be done. It can be done. I can be the exception as well. And so I think that gives people a lot of hope. So,
and to be able to remember when you get a diagnosis that you're not a statistic, that you're a soul, and there's people to walk that with you. So I heard Wednesday night support group. I heard Monday night intention circles. Anything else that you're doing or that people can get involved with now or in the future?
Just one quick thing. We have done some of the healing light services, which were so popular in person. We have filmed those. They now live on the new church website, which is so beautiful. And so you can watch those anytime, 24/7. And Dr. Roger is going to film one of those, and it will be available in October.
the only other thing is to talk about the workshops, which is the thing I love the most. And that is that we're recreating those, and we're calling this powerful practices for healing. Power practices for healing, because what we've learned over the last 10 years is that the philosophy is great, it's all true, all the statistics, all the science, but if we don't practice, it doesn't work. We have to practice. And so these workshops are really dedicated to giving us time to really get into a practice, to rehearse it a lot, and the goal is that each person who works with us will, in the end, be able to do that practice on their own, be able to really carry that through and use it for their own healing.
Well, thank you so much, Kay and Linda, and on behalf of all the people that you served, thank you. Thank you. How are you? How are you tonight? How are you really? Are you feeling yourself? Are you feeling like maybe yourself got lost along the way? Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "That is always best which returns me to myself." That is always best which returns me to myself. It's a simple yet profound statement and a recipe for restoring our soul and our spirit in our lives. And so I know some of you are there on chat. I want to know, what is it that returns you to yourself? And part of that is what I'm calling tonight, making time for the timeless. Making time for your spirit, making time for your self-care, making time for God, making time for what is most sacred to you. Not just what you care about within you, but the source of caring within you. Because it's so easy to get caught up in those layers of not self. Some we've built ourselves over decades or years. Some we hear from sources all around us. But no one can take away your soul from you. Henry Nouwen is a famous Catholic thinker, modern Catholic thinker, and he talks about getting the opportunity to have almost a counseling session with Mother Teresa. And so he gets to sit down with Mother Teresa, and he tells her all his problems and this challenging situation, and this is going on over here, and he's expecting a long, drawn-out answer. And Mother Teresa, when he's done, answers him, and she says, "Do your best to give an hour every day to God. Then do your best to do no wrong, and you'll be fine." Do your best to give an hour a day to God, and do your best to do no wrong, and you'll be fine. Now, to some of us, especially considering all of the issues going on around us, this may sound naive, but I think it's an important lesson, again, an important recipe to give at least an hour a day to the nurturing of your own spirit, to come back to yourself, and to do your best to do no harm to those around you. And you'll be fine. I believe that. Do you believe that? All this talk about coming back to ourselves, it's important to recognize what it is out there that takes us away from ourselves. What is it that takes hostage of your spirit, that gets you off balance, that causes you to lack faith in yourself or in the world around you? It could be something simple. I'm a big fan of the Los Angeles Lakers, and I noticed my blood pressure rising lately because they haven't been in the playoffs for almost 10 years. And I noticed something was going on, and I remembered when I used to watch all those Laker games, I would invest how I felt based upon if they won or lost. So if the Lakers won, I was feeling pretty good. If they lost, I was grumpy. It's a simple example, but it's an example of how we can give our spirit and how we feel away to something else. Something else I often unconsciously give myself away to is, what is that person thinking about me? Is that person mad at me? This conflict or challenge that's going on. It can rob me of my spirit. I'm sure for so many of us, the news and the media these days is something that can take our spirit. You know, as important as it is to follow the news, it's not really designed to leave you with a hopeful feeling. And so, as important as it is to pay attention, what's going on in the world and in the headlines, it can take our spirit from us, that very thing we need to face the challenges in our world. It can rob from us. And in this time of COVID and the economy, uncertainty, how am I going to pay my rent? Am I going to be able to keep my job? How am I going to pay the bills? That uncertainty can take our spirit away. It really is like a kidnapping. And so we're called to give ourselves back to ourselves, to do those practices that return you to yourself. You know, in spirituality, we have this term, center. We say it all the time, let's get centered. What does that mean? You know, does it mean that there's some light here somewhere in the center? Maybe. But for me, it's really that place in consciousness where I can let my hair down, where I can be myself, where there's no one else there to judge me. It's just me, and hopefully not the quiet light, but the brilliant light of what is most sacred. It's that place in me where I can be anchored in the Spirit. And this may sound fantastical, it may sound like an imagination, but through my experience, I can tell you there's nothing more creative, nothing more empowering than to anchor yourself in your own juices, in your own spirit, in your own sense of self, to feel that recharge. So often we look at our lives and say, this is missing, and this is missing, and this is wrong. But you know what's missing? It's you. It's the demonstration and the acting out of your own spirit. And thus it's so important to come back to ourselves. And so I'm going to invite us to participate in just a little bit of a spiritual practice tonight. I invite you, if you're willing, to close your eyes and just bring your attention to your breath. The breath is a passageway to center. Because when we breathe in, we're acknowledging everything around us. And when we breathe out, we're acknowledging everything within us. We're acknowledging the entwining, the merging, the balance of our exterior world and our inner world. The exterior world of the senses, of the happenings, of all the stuff. Some of us call it something different these days, of all the stuff going on out there. And we're moving into balance with what is within us, the world of our thoughts, our feelings. It's not just the place of imagination, it's our souls. It's who we are. And in this practice of anchoring, I just invite us to think of anything that's taken our spirit away from us. And as you breathe in, you can even visualize it like a light. Bring your spirit back to your center. Give yourself back to yourself from anything you've given away to. And just allow it to build in that center, which is really the circumference of your being. Call your spirit back. The breath is also that part of our being that can't be anything but now, or it's the end of us. The same with the beating of our heart. And that's why in the present we find our heart, we find our spirit, we find our creativity, we find a bottomless wellspring of possibility. And if we so choose, as we've cultivated a sense of spirit, a sense of self, as we can say, I am myself, I am me, I am. We can now, if we choose, consciously bring our spirit, the whole of ourself, into any circumstance, any situation that may be challenging us. I can surround LeBron James and Anthony Davis with light and hope the three-point shooting gets better. I can breathe into the headlines and know that even in the seeming fractured surface of things, there is a divine right action, a divine right possibility being called forth. I can breathe into not knowing and also embrace the mystery that knows that the abundance of life can never stop expressing itself. No longer do I feel possessed by what's going on outside of me, but now I can possess whatever is going on with a spirit of resilience, a spirit of creativity, a spirit of yes, and a spirit of brand new. For what is the Spirit but that which makes the brand new? What is the Spirit but creativity itself? And what are we but its vehicle, its presence? Henry Nouwen had another encounter with a great teacher by the name of John Eudes, and he put it this way: God is not so far from us that we should have to descend into the depths of the sea or ascend to the clouds to find him. God's presence is in the things that are closest to us, things that we touch and feel, that we move and live with day by day. While it is true that God is a hidden presence, we have only to let nature speak to us about the God who is everywhere. It's the most simple but most profound spiritual understanding. God is where you are. The whole of life is right where you are. All the love, all the joy, all the potential right there. Where are we? Where am I? And so we want to make that time for the timeless. We want to intentionally carve time out each day to make time for the timeless. So here's a few ways to do that. The first, choose a traditional spiritual practice. Meditation, prayer, forgiveness, yoga, tai chi, get a tarot deck. And there's that time in the morning between waking up and getting ready. You don't have to do this spiritual practice right when you wake up. I need a couple cups of coffee to do that. But before you start getting ready, take that time and be in this practice. Maybe you can't give an hour to God, but give 10 minutes to God. Do it every day and consistently. And notice how time doesn't get shorter, but it gets deeper. It gets lengthier. It gets fuller. Second, recognize a secular practice that you like to do that helps you feel connected with the sacred, that returns you to yourself. Could be working in your garden, might be cooking a meal that your grandmother used to make, maybe calling an old friend on the phone. It could be a sport. It could be writing in your journal. And there's that thing in our life, I know sometimes it feels we have less and less of it, called free time. For most of us, it's probably somewhere after dinner and before we go to bed at night. And one of the biggest mistakes we make is when we have that free time, when we choose, instead of mindful activities that remind us of our spirit, we think we need to escape. We think, I need to turn off. I just want to numb out. Give me a box of wine and 6 Netflix shows and let me just turn off. And maybe half a box of wine and 2 Netflix shows can be a good thing. But we try to convince ourselves, if I write in my journal, if I take that walk or I go for that run, if I call that friend, that's going to exhaust me. It's going to take my energy even more. And I promise you, the very opposite is true. By being willing to return yourself, by cultivating your spirit in an activity that brings you mindfulness, just gives you a sense of self and a sense of life. You can restore your sense of soul and give yourself the energy to not only face today, but your tomorrows. Lastly, do your best to return recess to your life. Don't forget to play. I don't care if the world's going to hell. Take that time each and every day to play, to let it all go. Not only does this allow you to have fun, but it allows that process we call incubation. It's the recognition that it's not on your shoulders to solve every problem humankind has. It's your problem to confront them. It's not your problem to always fix it. And sometimes by just letting it be, it's amazing the work that Spirit can do in your life in the meantime. So maybe it's texting a good friend just to say hi. Maybe it's taking a run or playing a game. Maybe it's watching something briefly that inspires you and makes you laugh. But don't forget to play. All of these are examples of making time for the timeless. Making time to listen to God. Maybe realizing that the God of your yesterday is no longer serving you, but there's a God right there, right now, available to you that can awaken your heart and soul. I've been telling stories about Henry Nouwen that it felt appropriate to quote him himself. He shares, God's time has to do with opportunity and fullness of meaning, moments that are ripe for their intended purpose. When we see time in light of our faith in the God of history, we see that the events of this year are not just a series of happy or unhappy events, but part of the shaping hands of God, who wants to mold our world and our lives. Even when life seems hurried and continues to have hard moments, we can believe that something good is happening amid all of this. We get glimpses of how God might be working out his purposes in our days. Forgive the 2,000 years of Catholicism with the patriarchy there. Time becomes not just something to get through or manipulate or manage, but the arena of God's work in us. Whatever happens, good things or bad, pleasant or problematic, we ask, what might God be doing here? We see the events of the day as continuing occasions to change the heart. Time points beyond itself and begins to speak to us of God. So here's what I can promise you if you make time for the timeless. I can't promise you your problems will go away. I don't know how to not give my spirit away through things, but I do know how to bring it back. And if you can make that time for the timeless, here's what can happen. No matter what happens, you'll have yourself. No matter what happens, you'll feel alive. No matter what happens, you'll know that God is with you. And time will stop whooshing by. You'll stop feeling as if your life is this blip in the middle of it. But you'll begin to realize that time is like a good friend. It will become more and more familiar, more and more fuller. And even though the hours seem to be passing away, it'll be as if there's more and more of them because you'll be present. You'll be in a place of appreciation and you'll be a benefit not just to yourself, but to others. So make time for the timeless every day.
So let us take this moment and go within. Our back straight, but our front so breathable. So we let that breath of life flow freely through us. And we go to that space within, which is truly timeless, changeless, deathless. We go to that place which is eternal, eternally giving, generously, like the rays of sun, which fall equally upon all of us, regardless of anything we've ever said or done or looked at. The love is there, the generosity of the divine, as close as our next breath. And we take this moment now and we bring to mind ourselves or others as we speak our words for them. Speaking our word first for peace. Individual peace of mind, calmness, clarity. If there's any circumstance that is seeking to kidnap your peace, dismiss it. Brush it away as though it's a cloud moving along the sky, and embrace that peace for yourself, for others, for this world in which we're living. In this next moment, silently or aloud, speak the name for who you're praying for peace. And next, let's pray for abundance. Abundance of health, abundance of resources, abundance of that precious commodity called time, abundance of life and living and zest. In this next moment, speak the name of yourself or others for whom you're praying for abundance. Beautiful. And lastly, let's speak our word for healing, for health, for upliftment, for renewal, for that is available to all of us according to that perfect template which was born within us and is there today, always and forever. Health of every cell, tissue, and fiber of our being. In this next moment, speak your name or the name of another for whom you're desiring healing. And now let's close this sacred, wonderful moment of prayer during which we've been able to touch into that still brilliant, creative, ultimate presence within us, which is everywhere, and express our gratitude to it as it moves through us, within us, and for us. As we release this prayer tonight on the wings of beautiful song, as we simply say together, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you for listening to the Mile High Church podcast. This podcast is made possible by the generous contributions from listeners like you. If you'd like to make a donation, please visit us at milehighchurch.org. Have a fabulous day.